So my name's Mike and I'm from Christchurch, and my round is Jim's Mowing Harewood. I've been with Jim since the middle of 1997, so it's 26 years now, or coming up. I like the work, I like the people I meet, I like the lifestyle. You know, if I want to work a big day, I can. If I've got stuff to do in the afternoon, I can finish early and go and do that. You know, I've made some good friends through gyms, through customers. Yeah, it suits me. I like the lifestyle. I think that's probably the main thing. I've done different things. So I'd come back to New Zealand from overseas. I was working, putting up marquees and things like that. And then I went on to work for an insurance company, and I was doing what's called compliance. People would apply for superannuation plans, and I'd go out and see them and make sure they could afford it and make sure that they hadn't been lied to by the person who saw them initially. And so that was my job. And then I got made redundant from that job because they found out that the position, there was a conflict of interest. So I was 26 years old and had been made redundant twice, and I thought I'd need to buy myself a job. So I did, and it worked out. Yeah, I think it was out, it must have been out of the newspaper. And I saw Rod and Mike and had an interview with them, and we went over details of sort of what the work would involve, what equipment would be required, how much it would cost, that sort of thing. I spent a couple of days with Rod going out and mowing lawns and doing edges and things, and decided that, yeah, I could do this. It wasn't that difficult. And so yeah, I committed, and yeah, like I say, it's worked out for me. I'm going to have a few bumps along the way, made many mistakes, learnt from them, and carried on. Now I do mow lawns, of course, do lawn maintenance, spraying. You know, we get to do courses on spraying if we want to do that. I do hedge trimming, do some tree work, just mostly smaller trees. If it gets too big, I'll get someone else in. I don't do a lot of weeding. I find spraying is much easier. Do a lot of pruning in winter, like fruit trees, roses, grapevines, all that stuff. That's a big thing in winter in Christchurch, is a lot of pruning. But yeah, basically people just get you to do what they want. I mean, I've put together kit set furniture. There's a guy who he had late stage cancer, couldn't walk his dog. He paid me to walk his dog. I didn't want to get paid, but he's like, no, here, have some money, take him up to the park. Great, I could do that. People, when I got the truck, people decided, oh, he's got a truck. He can go and get me firewood. He can go and pick up a load of bark for me. He can take my rubbish away. People, you could see their minds going, how can we use this guy? When people shift, because one of the jobs I did when I was overseas is I shifted furniture. So when people shift, they get me to go and hire a truck, and I shift them. I don't shift them far, normally it's from one suburb to the next, but you know, I get a couple of guys and off we go. It's nice to do different jobs. You don't want to be mowing all the time. It's nice to have a bit of a challenge, like a little bit of light landscaping, like putting irrigation in or garden edging or something like that. It's just something a bit different. And you know, as long as you've got the time to do it, you know, and the customer wants you to do it, why not? So I had an injury which wasn't Jim's related. Prior to the injury, I had 80 odd customers. When I returned to work, I don't want to have 80 odd customers initially. I expect I'll probably start on less than half of that and then build up again from that. But I know if I start tomorrow with no customers, in a year's time I'll be back at 80 customers. Any new work comes from people who are either friends or family of existing customers, neighbours, people, just random people will stop in the street and talk to you, get a card off you, whatever. One time I actually had someone follow me home. This is many years ago. I live in Bishopdale in Christchurch, and I was doing a job in Riccarton, Christchurch, which is probably 5 or 6 k's away. I'm driving home, it was fairly late when I finished, and it was starting to get dark. I noticed there's this van following me. I'm thinking, why is there a van following me? And I carry on and the van keeps following me. And I'm like, well, this is weird, he seems to be following me. I pull into my street, which is a no exit street, and sure enough, this van follows me into the street. I'm like, did I cut him off or something? What happened? So I pull up back into the drive and he pulls up behind me. I back into the drive and these two big dudes get out of the van. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. So get in the drive, get out of the car, and they come across and they're like, oh, we saw you doing this job and we just live around there. We've got some work for you to do. Can you come by tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, sure, that's great. I'm going, but yeah, I turned up the next day and I think I mowed their lawn and took a fridge to the dump for them, something like that. It was a long time ago, but it was just so random. I always remember that. For me, I like to have that rapport of customer. I've got customers that I've been going to for more than 20 years. I've got second generation customers. You know, someone I remember there was a family I used to, well, I still do some mowing for. So their daughter had a kid, and now this kid is going to school and everything, and I still see them. It's like, I was the first person at the property when she came home from hospital. I was the first person to actually say hello and hold this baby that wasn't here. Well, apart from hospital staff and stuff. But it's just, yeah, you build relationships with families and that, and yeah, it's nice. It is a job, and there are days when it is a bit of a chore, but people appreciate it. People, you know, if you drive a desk all day and you're shuffling bits of paper around, you don't really know what effect you're having. You still get paid. Whereas I can go and I can have a look and go, wow, that looks good. That looks really nice. That's much better than it was. I can walk away knowing that. And then if the customer comes out and says, oh, fantastic job, Mike, that makes me feel good. You know, still want them to pay me. You're basically walking for a living, which is a good thing. I mean, it keeps you reasonably fit. And I think I know now, having just had an injury, okay, I do play a little bit of sport in that, but having had that injury, because I have a reasonable level of fitness, I think I've come back from that injury quicker than maybe other people might have. So yeah, you need to look after yourself, but it also, the work itself helps you stay fit. Well, a big part of it now is the fact that I've already been recommended to someone. So Mrs. Jones's neighbour says, oh, here's Mike, he does a good job. Mrs. Jones can have a look and go, oh yeah, that's all right. So that's a big thing to start with. So they're already happy enough. They already, okay, they expect you to do a job to a certain level, which of course you're going to do. And I guess to come back to your question, gyms is, people like to know that there's an office that they can call up. So again, I'm broken at the moment, so my customers are now relying on gyms mowing as a group to take care of them. I mean, a lot of people have made their own arrangements themselves anyway, but there's a lot of operators out there that come and go. And I know, again, from being off work for a little while, people have got another contractor in and they haven't been reliable. They may have turned up once and then they've said they come back, but they won't. They may have not done the job to the level that the person was expecting. Once you build a relationship with customers, it becomes much easier. You know, when you first see someone and they say, okay, this is what I want done, you make sure you go over and say, right, so you want this shrub trimmed to this shape, you want the roses pruned to this height, whatever. You make sure they understand what you understand what they want and they understand what you're going to do. Then if you keep doing that, they're going to be happy. If I've needed assistance, it's been available. I mean, there's been times when I've come across situations which are new to me. So having someone like Rod, who's already experienced that, or knows someone who has experienced that, you know, that's a good thing. I can go, you know, show them some photos of a lawn. Is this piranha or is this grass scrub? You know, contacts for people who do water blasting or something like that, which maybe I wouldn't be able to do. I think Rod also, because he's done the work himself, he knows the problems that we're going to come across. I mean, if you have problems with people, every so often you'll get someone who's a bit slow to pay, so they need chasing up, and how to go about doing that. You know, you might be good at mowing lawns, you're not necessarily good at getting a hold of people and saying, where's my money? You know, not everyone likes doing that. You operate it as your own business, so what you put into it, you'll get out. You know, if you expect Rod in the office to provide you, to hold your hand all the way, that's not going to work. You know, you need to take it on as your own business and to operate as such. Like honestly, the first couple of years, financially, were not great. I mean, they weren't bad, I was paying the bills, but you know, it takes you a while to learn. It takes you a while to realise that, oh, I didn't charge enough to do that scarifying job. That load of rubbish cost me way more to dump than I expected it to. Those sort of things. You just learn that, and you will make mistakes, and sometimes you have to rectify those mistakes at your own expense. That's part of it. If you're capable of communicating with people, if you're capable of doing the work, you should be able to make it work, you know. I mean, you know, you need to find out what your customers actually want. Some people live by themselves. They don't see many people during the course of the week. And you'll turn up and they want to have a chat, maybe have a cuppa. In my mind, it doesn't hurt to take 20 minutes out of your day. It gives yourself a rest. You can sit down, have a cuppa, you have a chat with them. They will give you more work. They will also recommend you to their friends and family. I mean, it's not going to happen straight away, but like from the smallest little job, like this silly little lawn that takes you 10 minutes that you think, this is a waste of time me being here, especially when you spend another 20 minutes having a cuppa with that person. But then, like it has happened for me on a few occasions, I've got substantial jobs from friends or family of theirs, and all because, well, probably because I took the time to talk to these people. If you want to request a free quote, phone 0800 454 654 or jimsmowing.co.nz.